Oh, you fabulous people all around the world. You know what time it is. Come on in, hang out, chitty chat for a while. I think we've got a good show for you. Mark Smith is hanging out. Kiradell is here. Lagnus is there. Hello, good people. We want you to be a part of this as well. Special guest today, if you weren't paying attention to the Twitters earlier today. It's going to be some fun. Hey, Sin Hunter. Howdy, Scroll Brian. Oh, Scroll Brian. Psycho Red is here as well. You know, Ashley Victoria Robinson, who's our guest this week. I have known Scroll Brian for as long as I've known Matthew, but we'll talk about that later. Finally, Friday is being brought to you this week by Major Spoilers VIP and Patreon members from around the world. You can show your support for everything we do by pointing your browser to patreon.com/majorspoilers and signing up today. Oh, good Friday afternoon to every single one of you, wherever you may be around the world and in the neighborhood that we call Major Spoilers. Welcome. Thanks for hanging out. And look, everybody, there's, whoops, wrong finger. There's Ashley Victoria Robinson. What's going on, Ashley?
Lots of secret stuff. Lots of not so secret stuff. Jupiter Jet, Final Order cutoffs went in. So we're counting down the weeks until she is out in the universe and the Kickstarter is fulfilled. And, generally, as a SoCal resident, just trying to not catch on fire.
I totally understand that. And listen, you guys, I have, through the grapevine, heard what Ashley is cooking in her kitchen. And I got to tell you, if you are not following Ashley V. Robinson on Twitter, if you're not following her on the Instagram, also at Ashley V. Robinson, now might be a good time to follow her because she's going to be dropping some major news on everybody's heads in the coming weeks and months. So be on the lookout for that. Also, she's getting her brain tuned up for next week's Major Spoilers podcast, which I know everyone's going to want to check out because it's going to be trivia night, maybe with another special guest as well. So hopefully, Ashley, you're... I looked at some of these questions, and if he just picks C 30% of the time, he might just win the game. Actually, it's not a multiple choice. Kind of multiple choice, but I'm going to save all the details for next week. So it is something we haven't talked about on the Major Spoilers podcast for the last couple of weeks, and that's good because we waited an entire week not talking about the big movie news. And then suddenly Warner Brothers and Disney just said, you know what? Screw the rest of 2020. Let's set our sights on 2021 and 2022. So some of these things that we've been excited for like next year, the studios are just like, nope, we're washing our hands and we're just changing our whole schedule up. So Ashley, what do we know that's going on? What has been moved? Let's run down the list for everybody that doesn't know what's going on yet. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
May 7th, Venom. Let There Be Carnage, June 25th, Shang-Chi. I'm so excited for Shang-Chi. July 9th, by the way, just for a little Kim's Convenience Corner.
Oh, yeah.
If you all aren't following Simu Liu, who's playing Shang-Chi and also plays Jung on Kim's Convenience, highly recommended by Mr. Schleicher.
Yeah.
He was back on set for the latest season of Kim's Convenience today, so I thought that was super, super exciting. Suicide Squad is getting moved back to August 6th. Eternals, November 5th. The aforementioned Dune is going to be the October 1st slot, which was previously the Batman slot.
Yeah.
And then whatever Spider-Man Far From Home number 3 is December 17th. And then Thor Love and Thunder, The Batman, Doctor Strange 2, Black Panther 2, Captain Marvel 2, and Flash are all going to 2022.
I know that sounds really, really crazy. I mean, this is a huge shakeup for the studios, and I'm concerned that Maybe the studios, did they bite off more than they can chew, or what? In this whole thing.
I also don't know if they realize how ambitious this early chunk of 2021 is going to look, because I don't know about you, Stephen, but I'm not sure if we're going to be able to go back to cinemas
Well,
that early.
the Broadway said they weren't going back until at least May before they even
Yeah.
considered opening. And I don't know. I'm not as familiar with Broadway and theater as you are. But when they say May of 2021, to me that says that's when they're thinking about reopening. And if they do reopen, they're probably going to have to follow guidelines. And I'm going to imagine that some of the things that they're going to open probably would be things that they know would sell: Lion King, Cats, Phantom of the Opera, that they can be okay with packing half of the house or less to get a performance on. But I don't think that we're going to see something small, something off Broadway, open up and expect to have a packed house when they come back. Maybe they would be. I mean, that might be the good thing. I think that's kind of where we're sitting right now with the movie theaters, is everybody wants the movies to come back. And the minute that it's clear to get in and not have to worry about stuff, people are going to pack the house. So hopefully the same thing's going on with Broadway. But man, it's pretty much the studios have just said, that's it. We cannot deal with this.
I understand, and I see people all over the internet saying, like, give us Wonder Woman on VOD, give us Black Widow on VOD, and you and I have been big proponents for VOD and supporting VOD.
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget that The Crap Legacy is coming out on VOD, which I'm super excited for.
I kind of want to see that too. I remember when that first came out and watched it, I was like, this isn't too bad. So I mean, it could do well.
All it has to be is campy and vaguely witchy. It'll be great. But those tent poles are never going to go VOD because they can make $1 billion. And I think everyone learned a big lesson from Tenet.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work in the current setup, at least in North America. It might work in China or in the UK, but it definitely doesn't work in the United States. And so that's why I think we got this announcement of like literally everything under the sun being pushed back.
So, there are some, as you said, there are some good things about going direct to VOD. When we look at like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, which came out on VOD and people bought into that, the budget for that movie, $10 million. From the box office, which I'm also guessing is streaming estimates, already made $40 million. So, they've made 4 times their budget back. I think that's great. When we look at other independent filmmakers, they also probably would do great at getting direct to video. We saw Trolls 2 did exceptionally well when it came out. But when you say Tenet, I mean, Tenet had a $205 million budget. It's only made, because it's only being released in theaters, $307 million. And I like what you said about big budget tentpole films. It's a little bit weirder for that. And I can't really point to, the only one that I can point to where they took a big budget film and they went direct to VOD or premium VOD was Mulan over at Disney and the Disney Plus streaming service, which is really interesting because they had a $200 million budget. So far, they've only accumulated $66.3 million. So it's a huge loss. Some people would consider that a flop had this been regular theatrical release. Now, there's a bunch of things that kind of make that kind of messy. Number one, they had poor China release just because of the way, I guess they weren't paying as much attention to detail as they should have for Chinese audiences. But here in the U.S.
there was some controversy around the lead actress as well.
Oh, okay. Is she controversial?
And some of the statements that she made about Hong Kong.
Okay. All right.
I'll leave people to run down that route. It's very complicated, and I definitely can't articulate it well, but I know that there was a lot of controversy about her as well as the figure leading the movie.
Yeah, okay. And then to complicate that, Disney put it on their Disney Plus streaming service, but they didn't make it free like they did with Onward, right? Where it was just part of the service where, hey, you got it, you already subscribed, you get Onward automatically for this. Instead, they made it this premium on top of the monthly fee that you were already paying for that. But if you just wait, in fact, Mulan just popped up on my iTunes, Apple TV to purchase. Had people just waited, they wouldn't have had to do that. And so if Disney stumbles, that is a perfect place to show where they stumbled and really don't understand what premium VOD is. Had they done it with, if you've got a Disney Plus streaming service, you've already got Mulan. Everyone else, we're making it available the same day. Apple, Amazon, Hulu, whatever it may be, it's going to be $29.99 for that, or $30, $40 for that. I think they probably would have found that $20 million budget turn around quite a bit.
Although fascinatingly enough, they did announce, because this week is was supposed to be New York Comic Con, right? So we're getting a couple more announcements that we're used to seeing in entertainment right now. And Disney actually announced that Soul, which was supposed to
Yes.
be this year's Pixar movie, which I was really, really looking forward to, is going to be available at no additional cost on Disney Plus for the holiday season. So
Yep.
it's interesting to see them having made the full loop back to where they started this year.
Yeah, and I think that is really kind of cool. And again, maybe they're doing it now. For comparison, Pixar's Soul only has a budget of $150 million, so it's not quite the Mulan
Absolutely.
budget. But I think they did learn their lesson. It's going to hit the streaming service on December 25th, which coincidentally, as you mentioned earlier, was when Wonder Woman is supposed to arrive in theaters. I'm going to bet we're going to see that get moved again, man. I don't feel like that's going on. But so here's the thing. The average ticket price in the United States, and this is across the entire nation. So I usually, if I go to the movie theater, I pay at most $5, maybe $8.50 for a ticket at the high end, but I usually go at times when it's not premium. I'm starting to hit my AARP kick in phase. For literally the last 8 years, AARP has been saying, hey, you can sign up now. We'll send you the card. You can get all these discounts. I'm like, no.
Are you kidding me?
No, when you get close to the age of 40, Ashley, or when you pass that age of 40, which, is like 20 years from now, if AARP is still around, then you will start.
It won't be for me.
You will start getting these cards that say, hey, sign up for AARP now. And it's like, I'm not even close to retirement age. But anyway, I pay
I've
around.
been saying this for a long time, though. I can't wait to turn into that witch from Snow White in the GIF who's like closing the door.
Yes.
So I probably will sign up right away.
So the ticket price is about $9.37. That includes people in California who are paying $20 to go see a movie. So you kind of can calculate how many people or how many subscribers they need on some of these movies to see if they even break even. So they would need 20 million people to sign up to Disney's Plus just to break even on the Mulan, because that there's multiple people in the house that are going to watch the movie. So I don't know. I see this again. I'm still a firm believer on let's go to VO Premium VOD and charge $30 or $40 on this thing. But I'm wondering if you two are wondering if maybe those mega budget tentpole films are the ones that they probably should not release as premium VOD.
I'm sad to say this because I would love to watch them from the comfort of my own home, right? I want Wonder Woman and Black Widow and Dune as much as everyone else, but I just think from an economic standpoint, at least as we've seen it so far, it's not likely to happen. And there's only so many mega hits to their profitability, like with Tenet, like with New Mutants, that a studio can bear before they're just going to not do it at all. And you know what cost them nothing? Moving it to a different day.
Yeah. I mean, that doesn't. I mean, it just sits on the shelf, and they know that they're going to recoup their money at some point, right? So
we're all going.
Yeah, because, Marvel essentially shifting their entire release schedule still puts Black Widow as the next Marvel movie in the lineup. And, unless they decide to do some Spider-Man animated thing before then. But, Morbius, all this other stuff moving, you're only having to wait a little bit longer in order to get your fix. And that's fine. Here's the thing that I was just noticing with Bill and Ted and with some of these other movies that are going premium VOD. Bill and Ted made 4 times its budget, which is great. And if you're a studio that has a bunch of 20, 30, 40, $50 million movies sitting around and you put up some hype on that, talk about making a good exchange on that format. A 4-to-1 ratio at a 50 million, you make $200 million off a $50 million movie. Boom, there's your budget for Soul.
I agree, or even less than that. Like if you take a movie like Split or Get Out, which were like $5 million movies, which is nothing.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And then you can flip them and have the same amount of money that will fund the bigger tentpoles that we won't be able to see for 2 or 3 years. But I'm also, I'm the grumpy old person who is of the opinion that we need less movies with like $250 million. I don't know what numbers are, guys, budgets, and more 10, 5s, more movies like The Ritual that you can turn around and do really creative stuff with. And even though we're not getting like the big things that will grab headlines on VOD, the stuff that is going to VOD is what I think very exciting.
I don't know, because you look at Bill and Ted, they had a lot of
Bill and Ted
headlines.
was good
Not
too.
just the fact that they were going direct to premium VOD, but the fact that people were excited about Bill and Ted. Now, just imagine, I don't know, I really like Kevin Smith, and he's made some very interesting movies over the last couple of years. Walrus did not do very well in the way that they released that. It might have done great in premium VOD. But then
true.
you have the most recent one, the Bill and Ted's, or not Bill and Ted, the Jay and Silent Bob reboot. Holy crap, that was a great movie, and it was worth the premium VOD price, and I'm sure they made bank on that. So I think, you're right. I think if we can see more $10 to $50 million movies, and 50 I think is probably where I personally would put a cap on it, and you send those to premium VOD, man, you could, like I said, you could fund, and as you said, we could fund Soul, and we could fund Black Widow, and we could it looks like Trolls 2 had a budget of 90 to 110 million, so they made their money back on that. You could fund those kinds of things and have a very robust direct-to-video market going on if the studios were thinking, because they could also just bank that and not do anything else. I mean, think of all the money they're making if Black Widow or Wonder Woman 84 or any of these other movies come out, and they're still making $1 billion at the box office worldwide. And on top of that, they got all this mid-tier stuff that people want to see coming out at $150 million against a $50 million budget. They're going to be rolling in money. The only problem is they have to have theaters to show them in.
Well, that's the thing. But that's also what's really exciting about what's happening right now is VOD has been around for ages, and VOD is finally getting legitimized in this really cool way. And it'll be fascinating to see when things, quote unquote, go back to normal, or when we adopt what our new normal is going to be, what types of studios, and it might even be little studios like A24 and Blumhouse, choose to still make use of VOD.
Yeah.
And which ones just kind of go back to the status quo, which I think is going to be more of a Disney W move, to be completely honest.
I want to you mentioned A24. Holy cow. There is a movie that they have just released a trailer for that I am dying to see. It's called Minari.
Steven Yeun movie?
Yes, it is. Minari is what it is. And it's about is it a Korean family, I believe?
I believe so.
A Korean family comes to the United States, and he is going to become a farmer. And I don't know if he knows much about farming, but it's about the struggles these families have living in a small community, trying to get their farm to produce, trying to adjust to a different culture, trying to adjust to, and especially with children, where the children grow up becoming Americanized and the families are still very traditional, something I know a little something about, that, this kind of culture clash and things that go on with that. A24 is a brilliant studio. And if people aren't following them, you really should, because they are knocking it out of the park.
A24 in front of anything, and I will go see it at this point.
Yeah.
I've seen so much high quality content from them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting to me now that they sort of have this house style as well, like all studios. It's interesting to see studios try to rip them off.
Yeah.
Like I just watched Gretel and Hansel, speaking of premium VOD, on Amazon, and it is trying so hard to be like an A24 horror movie.
Oh,
it's
really?
not quite there. I really enjoyed it. But they are, if you're not following A24, highly, highly recommend.
Yeah, so
their offers.
if people are not familiar with A24 and some of the movies that they've released recently, maybe you've heard of a little movie called Midsummer. Maybe you've heard of a little movie called The Lighthouse. Maybe you've heard of a little movie called Uncut Gems. So just that's probably represents about an eighth of the movies that they've released recently. That just shows you some of the quality that's coming out of that studio. So I see that they have The Green Knight is coming soon. I think I saw a trailer for that, and I think I was excited for that. Oh man, but the Minari, I'm really looking forward to that. So yes, A24, now's the time to take your mid-level movies and just bang them out of the park, sell them to Netflix, sell them to Amazon Original, sell them to whoever, and make that 50, 60, 70 million dollars on your or even more on your mid-level movie. I'm all for that.
Yeah, sell it to Amazon, have them pair it with the Invincible animated series, because Steven Yeun is also the lead of that.
Yeah, so that was the other thing that came out this week. So there's some positive things, right? So obviously Pixar's Soul coming to Disney Plus is a big deal for audiences and fans of Pixar. And if you haven't seen the trailer for it, it looks really, really good. I'm very excited about that. I don't know what's going on with Free Guy. It's scheduled for a December 11th release. And if you saw we've seen the recent trailer where they're basically saying, hey, this could come out any day. It could come out in I think they made some joke about it. It could come out in 2045 when we're all dead. But
speak for yourself. I plan to be alive.
I'm sure you will be. That's right about the time that AARP card is going to arrive. But if that doesn't come out, I could see that coming to a premium VOD service and doing very, very well, especially with gamers.
I think the budget on that might be very, very high, especially considering who the lead is. But I think it would be, as you say, perfect for that audience.
Mm-hmm. Then the other big thing that was announced this week was that Invincible series that's going to drop on Amazon Prime, and it looks good. They have some really great voice actors on that movie. Or is it a series or a movie? I think it's a series. Yeah.
They said that the first season is going to cover the first 13 issues of Invincible.
Oh, well, that makes.
And
oh man.
If you are familiar with Invincible, that's also about the first two trades where that big reveal happens at the end.
Let's just say that.
I think it's perfect. I'm so excited.
Let's just say that somebody is going to be a big bloody mess as the cliffhanger for Image for the Invincible series.
Dude, the trailer's brutal. Like, in true Invincible fashion, it's brutal.
Now, the one thing that I will say in that trailer is that they do pan away for, like, if you're familiar with Ryan Otley's art, he has no problem if you're squeezing somebody's head, an eyeball flying right at the reader and seeing all the blood and guts splattering everywhere. But I did notice in that trailer that they did pan away when it came time to head squishing and gut punching. So I'm very interested to see what happens there.
That's also our New York Comic-Con trailer that would have been shown as part of their panel in Madison Square Gardens or wherever the heck.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the reason why it's a little more tame than Invincible fans might have anticipated.
Yeah.
I also don't think the baseball scene is from the book.
I don't think so either.
But I thought it was really cool. I really liked that framing device for the trailer.
Mm-hmm. We might have to. I know we've already reviewed Invincible as a trade paperback on, and here I'm telling the universe my plans. But maybe we need to revisit Invincible next year or right around the time that this arrives. Do we know the drop date? I know it's in 2021.
The trailer just says 2021,
okay.
Which I found disappointing because I was like, you're telling me it's not fully animated? But my hope is earlier than later, but we don't know a date just yet.
Man, I'd have to go back and look through the Major Spoilers archives or another website's archives, because I could have swore that this was going to be a January, February release. But, that could just be a faulty memory as I start to use my AARP card for little blue pills and other things. So there you go.
Also, as we both know from trying to plan our respective shows a year in advance, even the best laid plans are not.
I had to laugh this week because this week you and Jason Inman on Geek History Lesson, and for those of you who are not familiar with Geek History Lesson, definitely go check it out. We have it on the Major Spoilers Podcast Network. You can go find Geek History Lesson on Apple Podcasts, and I believe a bunch of other podcast networks that's out there. It's everywhere. You guys had another James Bond, what is it, Pierce Brosnan this week?
Yeah. We fully have like 5 James Bond episodes, 3 of which I think have come out this year. We recorded most of those in March. We've had a bunch of Wonder Woman-centric content come out this year that we recorded last December.
Mm-hmm.
We had a bunch of Black Widow content planned that obviously got shelved and will be pushed back for a later time. But yeah, and then with the James Bond episodes, because we've been going through in different actors' eras, we were like, well, we could put one of these out a month.
Oh, yeah.
And then it'll be okay. But we're holding Daniel Craig because we wanted to go see No Time to Die to sort of cap off that episode. So, yeah. I mean, who only knows when that's going to come out?
I know, right? And so I just thought it funny because also this week on the Major Spoilers podcast, we had Death on the Nile, which Death on the Nile was supposed to come out October 20th and it has now been moved to wherever the heck that's been moved to. Tell the universe your plans and see what happens is kind of been my has been killing me in the last 2 years. I know we had a few problems last year where things didn't line up, but man, 2020 has just thrown out our schedule completely. And as I've promised, next year, we're not going to try to schedule anything that aligns with movie and TV release dates, just because.
We'll do whatever we want.
We'll do whatever we want. Yes, exactly. Hey, let's real quick jump into some comments from people. Let's see. Squirrel Brian says, I really liked Uncut Gems. Malone says, Jay and Silent Bob was surprisingly good. I really liked it. I really liked that movie. I went into it going, I don't know, maybe I've aged out of Jay and Silent Bob, even though I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan. But man, by the end of that, if you follow Kevin and if you follow his podcast that he does, when he had his heart attack, that was a major change in perspective for him. And you can just tell when you're watching that movie, this love that he's pouring out for Harley and his family is just all there in that movie. And it just is like, makes you cry by the end. And if you didn't cry, then what's wrong with you?
Steven's judging you based on your emotional bandwidth.
I know, right? And it's okay for guys to cry. If anybody says that men don't cry, then they're full of poo. Let's see. We had some audio issues back, but Ashley is fine now. Thank you, everybody. I've been trying to... For some reason, I had this worked out exactly to where Ashley would only come in one channel, but then whenever I had her on the NDI source, you guys weren't hearing her. So I think I've got it fixed now. Let's see. I see Disney Plus ads everywhere still here after they launched in September, but I don't know anyone who has it, said Lagnus. And Lagnus is in, remind me again, Lagnus, are you in Finland, Sweden, Germany? I forget where you are at. And he's probably going to say, I'm in Belgium. And I just hit all the countries around you.
I don't know about the international market, but I know pretty much everybody here that I know has Disney Plus.
Squirrel Brian says, and Squirrel Brian's in Kansas, he says, I'm not sure that anyone in my house is still watching Disney Plus, even though they got that. But coming up at the end of the month, we may have a reason to jump back in to Disney Plus because the new season of The Mandalorian drops at the end of the month. So there you go.
More puppets.
So let me ask you a question from an actor standpoint.
Yes.
Let's say that there is an actor who maybe in a first season of a show shows up to set, puts on the entire costume and does all the acting and stuff. And then maybe later he has to go back and do the voice work so they can actually get clean audio through that big helmet that we never see his head.
He has a double and he only does the voice work.
So
later.
that is the thing that I question, right? Because everyone's like, wow, what a performance for season 1. And then we hear, oh, no, wait, there's somebody else inside the suit. He's just coming in and doing the voice acting of that.
Now, to be fair, Doom Patrol does the same thing with Robot Man.
Yes, with Robot Man, yes. And so that's why I was...
Matt Bomer's character, what's his name?
Even though I wasn't specifically wanting to point out Pascal... for Mandalorian. I mean, that's kind of what we're talking about, but you're right. Robot Man does the exact same thing. Does that impact awards season stuff? Do other actors and actresses look at that and go, well, you're doing voice acting work. You're not doing acting work.
Interesting. I've pretty much seen Pedro Pascal getting a pass on that. And I think just because people love Star Wars and Star Wars can literally get away with murder.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, Pedro Pascal did do a couple days on set because we did see him without the helmet.
Yes.
But it was an open secret, and now I think it's just open that he wasn't there for most of the original filming. I will say that I think in terms of awards, that's a different thing, and that's much harder. I think both people involved should be getting credit for their work on the role, and that's something that I actually think Doom Patrol balances really. Is his name Mr. Negative Man?
Yeah, Negative Man.
There you go. On Doom Patrol, Robot Man and Negative Man, both of the actors are credited. So the guys in the suits are credited, and then their voice actors are credited. If you go all the way back to the original Hellboy, Doug Jones is actually credited with portraying Abe, even when David Hyde Pierce did the voice, because David Hyde Pierce said that Doug Jones gave more to the character than he did, and then Doug Jones eventually took over the voice work. But my preference would be that it would be split between both actors because it is a marriage of two different performances.
Right.
I don't know under SAG rules if both actors can be nominated for an award.
Yeah, that's what I was curious about, and really kind of how other actors felt about that, especially if the public is interpreting that, oh no, that was Pedro Pascal in that armor the entire time. If that affects actors, and like you said, you don't know what the SAG thing is, but I would also like to see them getting that credit, saying, so and so played by, voiced by. That I think would be really fair.
I don't think there's anything wrong with having two people do it either. If that works
Mm-mm.
for both of their schedules, if they're both being paid appropriately, I think they should both be credited. I think that's totally fine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was just curious about that. Also, I'm curious, Ashley, what's going on in Hollywood? Or is Hollywood starting to go back to business?
Heck yeah, man. Everything is practically back up and running. I did a couple days 2 weeks ago on an Amazon streaming show, and the only real difference is SAG, which I referenced earlier. That's the Screen Actors Guild. If anyone doesn't know, that's our big protectorate agency.
Hmm.
They have very clear rules about how you are to be treated and behave on set, which they have all the time, but they're different now. They give you a nice little graphic to hold up on your phone in case you feel uncomfortable. So I got tested for COVID a week before, 2 days before, and then rapid tests both of the days that I appeared there. They gave us PPE. They let us bring it all home with us, which was great. So now I have more hand sanitizer than I'll ever need.
Nice.
I know a bunch of people who've gone back for who are like regulars or recurring on different shows. I know people who host reality shows who've gone back, but the things that they're walking back are like crowd seats.
Oh, okay.
So if there's a football game, they'll
CGI.
block shoot a bunch of extras and then they'll change their costumes and then move them around and then change their costumes and move them around so the crowd looks fuller.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of places, a lot of productions are open back up, but also a lot of productions are moving to countries that are a little further along. Like a lot of things are going to Toronto and a lot of things are going to New Zealand right
Hmm.
now, which I think is very interesting. And on Did You Hear this week, I wrote about Iman Vellani being cast as Miss Marvel, and my conspiracy theory is because they're going to shoot it in Toronto.
Oh, interesting. Okay,
It's just
that wouldn't.
Toronto-based
I mean,
actors.
that wouldn't shock me. With most of everything shot at CW is up in Toronto, I believe.
Or Vancouver, yeah.
Yeah, in Vancouver. So yeah, that would not surprise me. I know that the Tom Cruise movie is everyone's sequestered on a giant cruise ship.
Yeah, they're also going to shoot in space, right?
Yeah,
For
right.
Mission whatever.
Mission Impossible 29 or whatever it is. That's going to
Yeah.
be interesting. I mean, that's really interesting. I mean, my son, the oldest boy, was reading about history, and so he decided to read about Apollo 13, and he ended up watching the movie, and he was like, yeah, that's really cool how they did that. I'm like, yeah, they were in a giant plane that was doing these parabolic curves so they could get the floating stuff, so they could only like film like a minute or so at a time before everybody had to reset. And now they're actually going to go to space and shoot something in space. That's crazy, man.
It's I would describe it as wildly irresponsible personally.
I mean,
but we
kind
all
of,
know
but
that the last Mission Impossible is going to be called Mission Impossible Eulogy because he's going to die on film for
yeah,
us.
I'm sure. All right. I think that's where this wraps it up. Ashley, thank you so much for hanging out. I know we had a lot to talk about this week, and we blew through so much of it. Just some stuff on the business end. Reminder, you can check out our website, majorspoilers.com, and our podcast, if you want to send us an email, is at podcast@majorspoilers.com, Twitter @majorspoilers, Instagram @majorspoilers, and you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/majorspoilers. Thank you to all of our patrons who support us. That's why we're able to do shows like this and bring fabulous people like Ashley out here as often as we can. Maybe not often enough, but as often as we can. You can find Ashley on Twitter at Ashley V. Robinson. The V is very important. You can also follow her on Instagram at Ashley V. Robinson. If you like cat pics, if you like witchy pics, you're going to get a lot of that on the Instagram with Ashley. And of course, you can find more stuff, more great content at majorspoilers.com. If you're someone who follows our game streams, I don't know if I'm going to have a Saturday game stream this week because I got to drive tomorrow like 2.5 hours or something like that. So the boy can run in their league cross country meet. Hopefully he does really well. He made the cut to get onto the final squad. So he's really excited about that. But I don't know if we're going to be back in time for the regular Saturday game stream. If not, don't forget to check us out on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 12:30 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. right here on the Twitch channel where we play all sorts of games. And here's the best part. If you want to play along with Mystic Vale or Legendary or Sentinels of the Multiverse or any of the other games that we play, come and join and hang out on those particular days. I'll open up a group game and then we can all play together. That's the way we do it right here at majorspoilers.com. Ashley, is there anything else that you want to share before we get out of here?
I will say, Stephen teased this a little bit at the beginning. Watch all the social medias, watch the Major Spoilers podcast and the website for news about what the Jawan Drive for Service members is going to look like this year because it's really freaking exciting.
Oh, it's so exciting. I can't wait to have you share that big news, and we'll certainly help you share it and celebrate it and broadcast it far and wide. But until next time, everybody, take care, do good, be good, wear your mask, use a condom, don't do drugs, all that other good stuff. And we will see you again very soon. Oh, so many fantastic people. All the Erics, all the Evans, all the Scroll Bryans, all the Marshalls. Oh, hello, Marshall. Did you just show up, Marshall? I think you've been here for quite a bit longer, but welcome to the show. Thank you, Malone, for showing up. Thank you, Lagnus. Thank you, everybody. Oh, History Table. I didn't see you come in. Hello. And goodbye. Psycho Red, hello. And all the other, oh, Slacker is in there. Hello, Slacker. All the other wonderful people that came to hang out today. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You are all wonderful people. We will see you again next week for Finally Friday.